New Alexandria. Once it was the crown jewel of Reach, the most populated and prosperous city on the planet, heart of commerce and industry. Now it is empty. Millions of its people lay dead and forgotten. All that remains is charred metal and molten glass. At its peak, it represented what Reach should have been. During its fall, it now represents what Reach has become. The Covenant successfully invaded, and humanity was defeated. The only people remaining are those trying to escape, as UNSC concedes defeat and flees the planet, leaving the survivors behind. Hundreds of Covenant ships arrive every hour, glassing the planet of such abandon as to carve scars to the homes of the dead and dying. The aesthetic of Reach is simply that of defeat, failure, regret. A total subjugation of one of humanity's branches by the hands of Thel Vadam and his fleet. The Fleet of Particular Justice, an ironic title for an armada that destroys totally and indiscriminately, now hangs above the planet like a pack of flies. The persistence is another reminder of Reach's inevitable shattering. The fortress world of Reach, a planet just as important, if not more, than Earth, a world built around the entire military-industrial complex, a planet embossed with forts and Covenant weapons, the literal home of the Spartans. Like many before and after it, it too will fall within weeks. Tens of millions of soldiers and civilians cold. Thousands of ships turned to husk, and hundreds of Spartans to be labeled mission in action in a desperate bid to keep morale alive. As it collapsed, Reach was already known as the greatest defeat in human history. The battle itself has been titled as the Fall of Reach, because it could hardly even be considered a battle. Even on the respective humanity themselves, Reach contained only death and defeat for those who clung to survival. To explain the fall of Reach in its totality, we must begin with the first domino that crashed down. It is July 24th, 2552. Noble Team, a group of 6 elite Spartans, was sent to Visegrad Relay to impede a potential insurrection. When they arrive, they quickly learn that the Covenant is behind the activity, and fear grips them. This is when the Winter Contingency is activated, the UNSC's official directive that is enacted when the Covenant is believed to have found a human colony.
Affirmative. It's the Winter Contingency.
May God help us all.
From there, the UNSC will sound the alarm and rally thousands to arm against the Covenant on the fortress of Reach. As illustrated before, Reach is akin to Earth in its gravitas. It is as much as a home to humanity as our blue planet. In the eyes of UNSC, this is self-defense, and perhaps, more importantly, a matter of honor. In these beginning stages, the aesthetic of Reach is already drastically different than the previous games. It's grounded, realistic, and gritty. While not particularly novel in this era, Smash Bros. Balls was going through its darker phase as well. It could be said that Halo used a more down-to-earth and edge tone to showcase a different perspective from the combat in the series, and more importantly, highlight the themes of Reach.
-4, stay on the entrance.
In this game, we see actual Spartans in gameplay to fight alongside us. However, instead of their appearances being a beacon of hope, the armor is dirty, worn, and mismatched, fitting the needs of the specific roles in the team, as opposed to the hulking army green chassis in Chief War, which feels more like something from a propaganda piece compared to the equipment Noble Team is left with. These twists on Halo's classic character design exemplifies the changes in tone. Noble Team has seen and experienced battle on a different scale than the Master Chief. In an ironic way, it almost seems they lack the nobility that the almost mythological Master Chief possessed. As the game progresses, however, these choices of aesthetics allow the player to question the first impressions of this band of Spartans, which create a greater depth for them, and for Spartans like Chief. Noble Team distinguished themselves in their personal effects. Firstly, there's George, the Heavy, armor built like a tank and wielding a large caliber machine gun. George is the only Spartan in the group who appears akin to what we consider a Master Chief like Spartan. The similarities end with size, however, as George's armor is blocky, unwieldy, and dull, The only colors in the suit appear as if they were pieces of other machines that were scuttled to reinforce his suit. Indeed, George looks strong, but it's a hindered kind of strength. Emil, the CQC expert, equipped with knives and shotgun rounds, and a grave skull carved into his mass, made to intimidate his enemies when they get close enough to him. Emil's armor is tailor-made for his personality. He consistently blends in with the shadows and dust of the Vaser planet. The only splash of color visible in his armor is his right red arm, which hosts his knife. In a world of washed-out colors, Emil blends in just long enough before he can enact a swift violence. June, the marksman, wearing green camo and a partial ghillie suit to blend in with his surroundings so he can execute high-value targets. Like Emil, June's suit is designed with subterfuge in mind. His forest green suit matches the swaying grasses of Reach. Unlike Emil, June has no pretense for civility. There is no skull or red highlights here, only a simple armor with light camouflage to assist in his objective. June doesn't need to customize his armor, because his enemies will never lay eyes upon it. Cat, the tech expert, possesses a robotic arm in place of a missing one, having it feel distinct, battle-worn, yet readily equipped to handle any mechanical events out of the field. Curiously, her armor is a soft blue, while this color aligns with the usual short hands for high-tech in Halo. In the fields of Reach, she stands out to a high degree. With white accents, she appears like a calm sky. Either way you slice it, Cat's design is averse to the current state of Reach, showing how the fall of the planet has plummeted. Carter, the leader, whose navy blue armor commands presence and authority. His red accents also contrast his main color, showcasing a determined will on the collected exterior. So to do, his colors call to mind the conventional trappings of law and order. Like Cat, Carter's blue stands out against the background of Reach, but this can be expanded from the frontline commander of the team. Like Cat, Carter's blue stands out against the background of Reach, but this can be expected from the frontline commander of the team. Carter is simple yet persistent, and persistence is the only hope Reach has left. Finally, there was Noble 6, Yu, who at first wears basic Mark V armor, showcasing his uniform state. However, this can be customized to your specifications, making Noble 6 feel like your Spartan, a character in the game that can insert themselves into. While Master Chief still had enough ambiguity in his narrative to allow for some forms of self-insertion, Halo Reach required a near-perfect blank slate, and as a service only Noble 6 could provide. Similar to ODST, when the Halo franchise decides to ground itself against the near-mythological actions of Chief in the story, it can only follow that the protagonist must be an everyman. Not everyone is as tenacious or disciplined or lucky to be Master Chief, but anyone could be Noble 6. Any other sort of protagonist wouldn't have worked as well. The player needed to feel like they were the ones trying to hold for humanity, and they had to watch as it all crumbled down around them. Noble 6's perspective creates the aesthetic of Reach. Those eyes are yours. The Marines, or rather the United Army, wear realistic and practical outfits, with tan coloration that aligns with the common wear of the modern US soldiers who are persistent in our world, as opposed to the classic, idealistic green donned by Halo 3's soldiers. Similarly, the Covenant are larger and the features more authentic, showing more minute details, allowing them to appear as beings an average human would fear seeing in the battlefield, as opposed to a rival faction. The elites stand tall and boast loudly, having a commanding presence, as they attack with honorable disposition. These warriors are the hardest elite to fight in the entire franchise, a difficulty spike complements by the designs being so much more aggressively alien, their attacks ferocious yet coordinated, and the capability of using Covenant weaponry to an extent never seen before. July 26. Noble team engaged in a tough battle for Oni's sword base, military installation hidden in the melting ice caps of the northernmost continent of Reach. This confrontation remains one of the few victories of the UNSC at the time. Noble team is able to fend off the invaders, reactivate the base defenders, and destroy the corvette sent here to investigate the Oni site for potential malicious artifacts.
Beautiful, ain't it?
Someone should take a picture. Nice work, by the way.
I aim to please.
August 11th, the player and June perform a scouting mission in the hills, investigating Covenant activities in the region. Here, you silently creep your way through the darkness, guided by night vision to your objective, where you discover a landing site for the Covenant army. One night once fell, now there were hundreds of alternating purple and blue lights illuminating the world, showcasing the place where your enemy's mass forces had served as the next step in the invasion of Reach. August 12th, the battle at Zerdok Ridge occurs, where UNSC forces, including Noble Team, assault Covenant defenses entrenched between the planet's desert mining facilities. The squadron tears down the Covenant anti-air cannons, allowing frigates and longswords to arrive and bombard the Covenant forces below. During the siege, the war almost feels winnable. Triumphant music surges as if to say the mission has already been completed. This energy follows the player as Noble Team makes a push on the Spire. Their failed infiltration leads only to Six and George having to disable the Spire's shields. Once they do, the UNSC Graph destroys the relay Spire with a single mag round. A satisfyingly easy win. Conflict takes much more than it gives, however, for as soon as the Spire falls, the Covenant COS supercarrier, the Long Night of Solace, uncloaks, glassing the Grafton, and asserting its lone dominance over the battlefield. This weapon, a 23-kilometer ship, unmatched by anything within the UNSC Navy, has made its presence known on Reach. It signifies the beginning of the end for crushing defeat to the once valiant UNSC. One ship serves to demoralize entire armies. August 14th. Realizing naval forces would take too long to arrive, Noble Team plans an operation to eliminate the newly arrived supercarrier with an improvised slipspace bomb. For this effort, they regain control of an OE black site, board Cerberus, and enter the atmosphere with the help of UNSC frigate Savannah, which graciously donates a slipspace drive to the operation. With all pieces in play, Noble Team then makes their way to a Covenant Corvette. In their plan, the Corvette, Ardent Prayer, will be used as a vehicle to deliver the slipspace bomb to the supercarrier by exploiting the ship's refueling flight track to set it on course for the Long Night of Solace. Once Ardent Prayer makes it close enough to the parent ship, the bomb will detonate, regaining the ground that Reach is lost in a single move. This is where George and you, Noble 6, board the Corvette, lead soldiers through the foreboding Covenant corridors, cover the slipspace bomb, accompany the ship's command center, and activate the refueling autopilot track. However, during the prolonged engagement with the Covenant, the UNSC frigate Savannah is destroyed, leaving you stranded on the ship. With only George and you as the remaining survivors, the slipspace bomb has sustained damage, and the time left in the flight path is limited. George, stubborn and as hopeful as he is Titanic, chooses to stay behind to activate the device. He grabs you by force and throws you off the ship, telling you to make it count.
Tell him to make it count.
As he activates the detonation sequence for the bomb. As you continue to orbit around Reach, you witness the Long Night of Solace, the natural disaster technology, be cleft in two with the sheer power of the slipspace bomb. For a few silent moments, Reach is no longer threatened by the supercarrier, and George would have been believed to have died, saving his home planet, a culmination of his work, a final victory for his world and his sense of self. But conflict takes much more than it gives, and this story is one of defeat. George can only take the solace in the fact that his final sacrifice was the last victory that Reach would ever observe. As the ashes fade, before the victors have a chance to regroup, the fleet of Particular Justice arrives into orbit. Hundreds of slipspace ruptures are detected by UNSC instruments. The same power that gave Reach an inkling of victory has been used en masse. And second, George's sacrifice seems so trivial compared to the full might of Particular Justice. And as the largest Covenant fleet ever seen by humanity scraps into the world, those who remain know that their objective is singular: the sole destruction of Reach, a planned annihilation. Reach's survival, George's dream, and this future humanity has become impossible. August 23rd. Noble 6, after staggering his way across the planet from the crash site, arrives in New Alexandria to find the city is under siege. Here, Bodies lay across the plazas and parks. The once eminent buildings are empty, and belongings of the residents scattered as civilians tried to flee the incoming plasma explosions. The economic capital of Reach is covered in Covenant forces. Civilians and USC soldiers alike now attempt to escape by boarding transports bound to leave the planet. Army soldiers perish by the hundreds to save the fellow humans from the indiscriminate bombing of the Covenant. Noble Six is able to delay the Covenant assaults enough to allow some to escape, but not all. At this point, any victory is going to be Pyrrhic. Mountain defeat surrounds any small effort the UNSC achieves. When night falls, the city is lost. All that remains are the vestiges of the UNSC, the last forces who still act as if victory may still peer in from beyond the smoky sky. In another war, their actions would have been worthy. In this war, they held on to nothing for nothing. In this, we witness the culmination of Reach's aesthetic, the ragged heart at the core of the game design that silently creeped upon the player when they least suspected it. The city is rubble, high-rises collapsing, their empty windows fan out in crooked patterns, holding not a single light within them. In these times, there is just a placid darkness that takes hold as a little infernal destruction layers the city from bottom up. Covenant cruisers now glass the remaining sections of the city, unopposed in the dominance of the sky, turning everything beneath them into a picture of hell for the few who struggle on. And all the UNSC can do is watch. In spite of this, we fly around a Falcon, helping me or dozens of surviving army personnel to secure any final objectives for these soldiers could escape or lost to the fire. Noble is finally and fully reunited. As they witness only loss from a broken building, the team is morally crushed, knowing this battle is nigh uncontestable and questioning if they've already lost.
You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost. Cruise guns.
They're unable to speak it out loud, but they wonder if Reach has truly fallen. Before they can finally determine themselves, though, the cruiser glasses the area next to the building, setting an EMP through the skyscraper, disabling Spartan shields. The team rushes to the emergency elevators to make it to the bottom level, so they can arrive at the underground bunker. But that's when it happens.
Demolition of priority 1.
One sharp crack rings out. A single needle round fired from a Covenant sniper pierces Kat's helmet, instantly killing her. Another demoralizing defeat. Cities can be rebuilt, life can be regrown, Reach can be retaken. However, you never return a person. Some loss is permanent, unchanging. Those kind of losses don't always arrive by hellfire or thunderous waves. Sometimes the grandest failures come swiftly and silently. In this way, defeat is so blindingly quick, it swallows everything. When will the next failure arise from? As the barrage of glassing ends, the remnants of the Noble team emerge from the bunker, and Carter carries Kat's bodies with him out the city. An unceremonious death for an extraordinary Spartan. August 29th, the remaining members of the Noble, June, Carter, Emil, and Yu, are sent to Salt Base on a torture and burn mission, using the same tactics that the Covenant subjugate to the planet to ensure the Covenant can never reach the information within. Warfare is different now, and your objectives are flipped. Now you trudge towards the same base the Noble had saved weeks ago in an effort to fully delete it from reality. After fighting through the facility, you eventually reach the designated demolition area in this hollow room that acts as a last stand for the base's personnel. It is revealed to Noble that the original goal was a farce. They are not here just to burn away all of Sword Base's efforts, rather, they've arrived to act as an escort to secure and save Dr. Halsey, the mother of the Spartans, alongside a personal project in AI specifically designed to fight against the Covenant, Cortana. At this moment, Noble realizes they can finally save something from Reach. As the planet crumbles around them, this one objective can serve as a single silver victory in the midst of unending defeat. June gets to leave of Halsey on planet, save himself from the fall of Reach, while Carter, Emil, and Six are tasked with the deliverance of Cortana to the UNSC Pillar of Autumn. August 30th. Noble Team's Pelican sustains damage that flies through the valley, almost crashing to the earth below. Carter is wounded here, and as Covenant forces begin to gain on the team, the last authority of Noble Team orders his men to jump off the Pelican and travel by foot while he distracts the Covenant Air Forces, clearing the way for Emil and Six.
It's been an honor, sir.
Likewise. I'll do what I can to draw their fire.
The last two members of Noble Team traverse through the winding caves and valleys of the dying planet, package in hand, until they are impeded by a terrifying obstacle, the Covenant's greatest ground unit, a Scarab. The four-legged war machine and excavator hybrid blocks the Spartans' pass, but Carter has a last-ditch plan. He lines up his Pelican and rams it into the Scarab. Noble Team leader Carter dies, sacrificing himself to save his team. Another blow. His end is explosive, yet minute. His last act was no glorious sacrifice. It was one more explosion for a world on fire. It was not tactical, it was honorable. It was just speed, mass, and will. With the Scarab crashing down, the path for the Pillar of Autumn opens up to the remaining duo. When they arrive to where the ship is docked, Six fights to gain control of the landing pad, while Emil mans the Mac Cannon, defending the Autumn from incoming Covenant ships. The traditional roles of Noble have been swapped here, as there are no other teammates left to perform accurately. After securing the pad, Captain Keyes personally lands and retrieves the package. Before the last Noble Team can make it off Reach, Phantoms approach, deploying elite zealots onto the Mac gun, where they brutally attack and butcher Emil.
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
But not before he gets a chance to deliver the same favor to his executor. One last show of his prowess before the end. With this finishing strike, Noble Team is no more. With the Autumn undefended, you stay behind to cover its ascent. Acting as George once did, choosing to sacrifice yourself to allow the package and the staff of the Autumn to escape the damn planet. Here you mount the Mac gun, dispatch a Covenant cruiser plane to glass the Autumn, and watch as your actions allow the Pillar of Autumn an escape from the shipwrecking yard, securing one of the only chances mankind has left to turn the tide against the Covenant. With no chance left for escape, Noble Six wanders the now lost lands of Reach. With no mission left, victory and defeat seem almost similar. Six only walks forward for the sake of doing it. The world outside of this gasping planet is out of their control. The only protocol they have left is to themselves. This penultimate defeat is a subversion of all it means to be the player. The plot is supposed to move forward as dictated by the player's character, but the plot is far gone now. Dropping control at this point will not change a thing, except delay the inevitable. To say Noble Six is degraded because they choose to live on, however, is incorrect. After all, that could be what nobility is, the desire to move on, even when there was nowhere to run to. After the indeterminate time, Noble Six arrived at a dusty scrapyard of little repute. In this place of waste, the only thing that could be broken down piece by piece was Noble Team. Each member of the squadron has been systematically killed, sacrificed, and lost, till only one Spartan remains on Reach. That Spartan is you. And now there was no call to arms, no duty, no service, no camaraderie. There was only the objective. The only urge that underpins the rest. The only objective that matters. You will try to survive. Reach has fallen now. There was none left to argue that case. Humanity did not just receive a crushing blow. They were handed defeat. Hundreds of thousands of corpses lie on the planet, and you too will be joining them. All you get to do now is to go down fighting, or don't. There was no need to make your peace, as it has already been predetermined for you. Valhalla games often showcase your great victory after tumultuous struggle. Your case is the antithesis. The enemies of Noble Six surround this final bastion to finish the fight. like mischief before them, the victory is assured. It's a type of closure. Just that you were on the wrong side of the looking glass. There was no chance of salvation, no promise of survival, no hope but beyond what chance you may have already given humanity. It's just you and your opponents, ash and dust. Most do hold on to a little hope for themselves, even as the members of the noble team died around you. The objective was always complete. Even in loss, there can always be victory. You will fight the enemy until you fall, and you will see the world as your team did, dying for something greater. Yet, in a way that seems so insignificant, trying to complete your objective, you're constantly rushing into more enemies. George, Kat, Coda, Emil, noble team lives within you. So too they would die when you finally hit the ground. In times like the fall of Reach, there was only struggle. Whether you condemn them as bastards and take as many down with you, or if you see them like yourselves and give in, you only find defeat at the end of the road. For now, that is all Reach is. That is all Reach will be. Humanity will always reach out for something. Anything. Oftentimes, the hand that stretches back is not welcoming. Failure is indelible. It shall come. What matters is this. When one reaches out, if they can save one heart, then the effort would have been meaningful. Securing a future of humanity was a gift laying on Noble Team's outstretched hand. It was only possible through loss. Failure galvanizes those who survive. So who is to say that all catastrophe is meaningless? The only present that the world is sure to give you is this. So receive it as you will. The gift is defeat, and one day you will give it to another.